to rock this place. Hey!
So we're not hosted tonight by Jamie Malloy, but we're getting there. I'm Adam McNally, Sports Talking It. I had to steal his video because my Bills video wasn't fully ready for this one tonight, but we'll be all right. Anyway, we're going to talk Bills and what these people on the show tonight think. Are they on the road to Vegas? Let's find out. I am going to bring on a guy that has been with me for a long time. He does a lot of Mets for me. We did a lot of Bills talk. Very excited. Let's bring him on right now, Mr. Joe.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. You?
I am doing great. Again, a nice warm day in Buffalo. We don't get too many of those, so I'll take all that we can get. So I appreciate you having me on here as always.
Yeah, we did this. We didn't really get to this one last year. We went over it a little bit, but we did it. And the season didn't turn out to how you wanted it to be, obviously.
Right. But we got another one to go for here. So
right, we're going to move on and
happens.
Get things going. Next, we're going to bring in your co-host and do the newest show, and very, very well last night as well, Mr. Jamie. What's up, Jamie?
Oh my gosh, thank you, Adam. I'm touched. Thank you. Good to see you again, Joe. And yeah,
Likewise.
You were totally right. And Evan just said, Joe, welcome back. So
thank you.
Okay. So speaking of, as I was going to mention, both of us did, obviously it didn't turn out how we wanted it to go, which was winning the Super Bowl. And I think we could have done it last year. We had the cards were in our favors and we didn't take advantage of it. And looking back, I think had we made that AFC championship game, I think with the neutral side, I think we could have beaten the Chiefs and then beaten the Eagles in the Super Bowl, but it didn't work out that way. It ended up being a Bengals-Chiefs home championship game for the AFC, and then the Chiefs won and they beat the Eagles. So, hey, I was happy the Eagles lost. So thank you, Kansas City, for doing the AFC East proud and doing all NFC East people proud too. So, but anyway, this is about the Bills. So are you excited, Joe, for this season and ready to put last year's spectacle to
let's save the energy, James. Let's bring in our last guest. We do have a special guest tonight, Steve. I kind of been bugging him all week to come on the damn show, and I'm glad he finally said yes.
Hey, I think I said yes pretty quickly after you asked me to come on, but I'm very
asked you on 3 different channels, so I was like chasing you down. It felt like.
Hey, I'm good with it. I like being on. I was on a podcast last week with Mark Mancini. It was Moving the Chains podcast, and it was. I mean, any chance I'm given to talk about the Bills, I will take it. And usually I can turn it into an all-day conversation if I have to, because I can. There's so much content about the Bills. Usually, as we get closer to the season, it's easier. But I'm very, very excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you guys having me here.
Yes, Steve. Thank you for coming on. Where are you from exactly?
So I live in Amherst. One of the things I'm known for out here is my Bills car, which you can see on my Twitter profile in my picture. It's a fully wrapped Bills car, and it's pretty prominent. Thank you, Evan. Pretty prominent around Buffalo. It's probably a lot more famous than I am by far. People see the car, they love it. It's usually pretty exciting for kids, for for adults who are just grown up kids when it comes to Bills stuff. So that's where I'm at. I'm in Amherst, usually driving around. I drive out to Hamburg every day for work, and that's it. Yeah, I I am not originally from Buffalo, though. I'll say that. I'm from Montreal. I moved to Buffalo in 2000 and became a Bills fan very quickly and been a diehard ever since. So it's I've been in the Western New York area for 23 years now, and I love it here. It's great people here.
Joe, Jamie, I know you guys are from the area. Jamie's in Webster. Joe's a little bit closer. Any of you season ticket holders?
No, I usually get to a couple of games a year, maybe a road game. Last couple of years, we've gone to a home game or two here. Usually 2 or 3 I get to.
Steve?
Yeah, I go to about 5 games a year, sometimes less. I'm not season ticket holder mainly because of the, as you can see from my background here, I'm kind of invested in other ways financially into the Bills, along with the car. So I got a full cave back here. I got Diggs, I got Allen over there, I got Jackson, Knox, and then on this wall here behind me, I got Hyde. I can raise the camera a little bit. Poyer, and then hard to get to the other one.
Too, it looks like.
Yeah, all signed. And then the other one right over here is Trey White. And then probably the pride and joy of my man cave is right above my head here. I got to point to the right, that helmet behind me. It's a blue helmet by Allen and Kelly. And that thing's since I bought it, it's probably gone up, it's probably tripled in value since I bought it. So it's a bit of a hobby. It became one a couple of years ago, and I used to work from home, so I spent a lot of time down here, and I needed to make it a little more enjoyable. And I kind of went a little overboard.
No, there's no such thing. There's always room for more.
Yeah.
And you still got work done?
Well, yeah. So I worked from home as a mortgage processor until they, mortgages went crazy and they downsized every bank in the country. But it's, it was easy. I just focused. It was just kind of nice to have a little bit of a exciting atmosphere to come down to instead of just basement with drywall or insulation. So it's good to have, and it's fun. I got a couple of footballs up there signed, and it's just, and my wife's okay with it too, because the value of the room has doubled since I've gotten all this stuff. Because all the player, like Allen's jersey was $250 when I bought it, and now it's worth easily $700-800 without the frame. So everything's going up. So she's okay with that. She sees the money.
Yeah, but you're never going to sell any of it, so she's never going to see the money. But you don't have to know that, right?
I was just checking to see if she's nope. Nope, I'm not selling any of this stuff. So, yeah.
Nice. James, you got anything?
Yeah, about the I got a Bills background right here. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't up. But last night, if anybody didn't notice, I had a Bills background of a bunch of Bills stuff that was taken down from my basement and put onto a cardboard up here. But I got Bills merchandise. But also, I used to be, my dad was a season ticket holder for years. He got him through Nestle USA, who was a big chocolate company that he used to work for. So, and then now we're older now, and we go to one game a year in club seats, and we're happy because we can go to a game and watch the rest of them on TV. And I'm also happy because I can do this now too, this podcast, which is hopefully going to help me get more skin into the game with the Bills as it goes on. So,
right. So speaking of family, big family issues resolved today at camp. Whenever Mr. Diggs took the stage, I'm sure that put a sigh of relief on all three of your faces as you saw Steve just wipe off the sweat.
Yeah. I personally, to speak on it, I wasn't too worried about it because like the whole thing with Diggs, I feel like last year in the off season, he was putting out these cryptic texts, and I think he likes it. I think he just messes with the media. And then the media takes it and does what they do. They blow things out of proportion pretty significantly. So to hear him come today and say what he said, it was a relief, but it also wasn't a surprise. It was just like, oh, he was just doing it, Like obviously he at the end of the season was frustrated, But I mean, I think about myself playing sports and how frustrated I get playing pickup basketball or, just pickup sports. This guy's being paid millions of dollars to play a sport. Of course, he's going to be uber competitive and get frustrated when they don't win the games. Obviously, he wants to win it all. So I don't think he's what some people are calling him. I don't think he's a diva. I think he's just a highly competitive dude, and he wants to win the games, and he wants the best out of everybody. So
that was the highlight of the conversation towards the end. I want to win a championship. That's what we play for, right? That's what we're here for. So he was spot on about that. I mean, you do play to win a championship.
I mean, 6 years ago, all the Bills wanted was to break the drought. So I don't think we were playing for a championship. We were just trying to make the playoffs. But now it feels like we're in that Super Bowl or bust window for the past couple of years, and I think we got to get there. I mean, if this team is good enough, they should get there. They have to. They have to. There's no excuses anymore.
Jamie, any thoughts on the Diggs conversation, or who was talking?
I was just going to chime in. I agree with a lot of what was said. I mean, that's what you want to hear your star players say. I'm here to win a championship. That's what we want to hear. I just wonder if he did some serious reflecting, and I don't think he can be in a better place than he is here. And I don't just say that, as a fan. I think him as a player. I mean, where else is going to be better for him at this point of his career, at this point, of where we are and where this team is. So, we don't know what he was thinking, and I'm only guessing, but I'm just wondering if he was doing some serious reflecting and realizing, there's really no better place at this point.
Mm-hmm. Jamie?
Yeah. And like Steve said, 6 years ago, we were trying to break a playoff drought. Let me tell you something. We didn't think that, like I said, we would never win anything as when that 17-year drought was happening. And we also didn't think we'd be getting $1 billion new stadium that we would be getting 3 years from now too. So, but it shows, like I said, that good things can happen to a franchise that's been, spit on and had the 17-year drought, and then they sold the team to the Bagulas, and then they hired McDermott and Bean and like I said, Diggs he wants to win, and that narrative about him being a diva, that's what they said about him in Minnesota, and that wasn't true either. He was the same guy. He's the same guy he was with the Vikings, and he's going to be here too, a competitive guy that wants to win a ring, and he came close with the Vikings in 2018, 2017, 2018 when he made that miracle catch against New Orleans to send them to the Vikings to the championship game. And unfortunately, they just ran into a great Eagles team, and they never gave him a supporting cast system around him. And lo and behold, he comes to the Bills, and they get Justin Jefferson. So, yeah, I'm happy we got Diggs, and I'm glad he wants to win a Super Bowl with this team. And here's my thing. I think this is one of these years where, we've been fortunate that we won the AFC East the last 3 years and everything, and we've come close and stuff. I think this is a team that I think we can win the Super Bowl. Even even if the Jets do win the division with Rodgers, I think we can get into the Super Bowl as a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 3 seed, any seed. I think we could win it as a 4, 5, or a 6. Squeak in as a 5 seed and win the Super Bowl. I think our team's that good where it's not going to matter what seed we are or if we win the division or not this year, because we got the talent to do it regardless of what position we're in at the end of the year, as long as we get in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the Von Miller news where he said week 6 possibility, at worst case scenario, week 1 at best. So it sounds like he's going to be right in the middle of week 3 from what I was gauging on what I was reading. And what do you guys pondering on that?
Well, I personally think that the Bills, I was listening to WGR today, and they say that the Bills, for the past couple of years, basically since Allen, like past Allen's rookie year, I think it was his second year moving forward, the Bills come out of the gates like insane every year, with the exception of that Pittsburgh loss 2 years ago, I think, on opening week. They come out of the gates firing. So if he comes back in week 6 and they still do that, come out of the gates firing, and then your roster gets better on week 6, I mean, you're looking at people having a tough time, I think, even game planning for the Bills when it comes to that point. If they can get Vaughn back week 6, obviously week 1 would be great, but you don't want to rush him back. You never want to rush an ACL injury, especially for a edge rusher. But we get him back in the right time. It could be an interesting season, and it could be a season for the record books if the Bills do it right and stay healthy. I think because I think this is personally the best roster they've had in this playoff or Super Bowl window they've had. I think losing Edmonds was one thing, but they've gained a lot in the trenches, and they're, like I said, if they can come out the gates hot and then Miller joins them in week 6, that's a good year. That's a great year.
So go ahead, guys. Jamie?
You know what? I'm in no hurry to see him come back, and I don't mean that as a knock against Von Miller. I just don't want them to rush him back. Again, I don't think they have to rush him back. Unless the defense is playing poorly and they're 1-3 or something, and I'm in no hurry. I'd be okay with week 5, week 6, and you got a long season and hopefully playoff after that. So don't rush the process. I mean, if he's ready in week 2, bring him back in week 2, and they're 100% on that. But otherwise, patience. And I don't think there's any need to totally rush him back prematurely.
Well, they signed Floyd for that reason too, Leonard Floyd coming off the edge now too. So that's going to, I think, help lower the pressure on him to get back, I think, and that's a good thing. I think that's one of the reasons they might have signed him. So I think that's a good reason.
He's basically Von Miller 2.0, Leonard Floyd, if you want to call him that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or maybe a Walmart brand of him, but still, even a Walmart brand of Von Miller's pretty darn good player, darn good linebacker.
For sure.
Yeah, the great value stuff is still good.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Great value stuff. I love it. So we'll stick with defense for a little bit. So we got a cornerback battle going on in camp. Who do you think is going to win the CB2?
So it's between Kaiir Elam, because I didn't make camp today, and I again was working. So who's the second one competing for number 2? Looking at the
I'm trying to look at that now.
Teron Johnson, is it?
Well, Teron Johnson's a nickel, so would it be Dane Jackson?
Yeah, Dane Jackson. Yeah, because he was another guy who, like I said, he got hurt Monday Night Football against Tennessee. That was a scary situation where he got put in the ambulance. Our home opener that last year. But yeah, I think it is going to be between Dane Jackson, because he's another good young corner that can thrive in a defense that's no longer coached by Leslie Frazier, and now McDermott's going back to his original roots as the defensive coordinator / head coach, like he was at Carolina. Well, Carolina was the defensive coordinator, but that's his specialty is coaching defense too.
Yeah, and Christian Benford even showed some promise last year before he got hurt. So maybe we've only had one day of camp, but he could even fight in there. I know they've talked about him possibly going to safety because he's got the hitting power to do so and the traits to be out at safety as a backup to kind of groom him with Poyer and Hyde. They're getting older, which is sad to say, but it's inevitable. But yeah, I think Kaiir Elam has the ability to be a very talented corner, and Dane Jackson's just kind of been that consistent guy. until his injury, just kind of there doing enough. But I think we need more than enough. I think we need better. So it'll be interesting to see.
They picked up a free agent, Cameron Dantzler, didn't they? That played on the Vikings.
Yeah, they did. He former 3rd-round pick in 2020, and he's actually. I think the problem was in Minnesota. He wasn't used right by the two coaching staff, but in McDermott's defense, he's another lockdown man-to-man guy too, where you can mold him into that and into a number 2 if he gets the right coaching, I think, and he takes everything in with McDermott. So yeah, he's another guy that you can mold into another Trey White type of lockdown on an island corner.
Right.
I like the fact that I'm looking at the roster here for the Bills and the corners, like starting, because I have them in alphabetical order for corners. We have Alex Austin, Christian Benford, Dantzler, and then Elam, Ingram, Jackson, Johnson. With the exception of Cam Lewis, I feel like all the corners are actually fairly tall. I think 6 feet or taller is a pretty good size for a corner. You get some small corners that can hit well, but they're just in coverage, like look what happened to Cam Lewis. And I hate to bring it up, but in that Justin Jefferson 4th and 18 catch, right? He couldn't get up there with him, just didn't have the height and the reach. And, I think Benford's 6'1" or 6'2", and Elam's 6'1", and I think Trey White's probably the shortest one. He's 5'11", I think. But having that height, I think, really helps as a corner. So, obviously instinct is big, but height really helps, I think, and they've kind of lean towards that. That's a good looking dog, by the way.
Thank you. She is the cover of the YouTube channel, and she wanted to say hi.
Hi.
We heard her. She was growling a minute ago, and I tried to keep her off camera, but that didn't help. I know I heard her because I heard it through the earphone. Yes, that was her making noises, saying, "Let me on."
Awesome. Dogs are always welcome.
Trey White, I think dimension is 5'11", but he plays more like a 6-footer, 6'1" corner. He plays bigger than his height, so don't worry.
100%. No, he's definitely one of the ones I'm not worried about now that he's hopefully back to 100%. Because I don't know if he ever was last year. I feel like we didn't really see the Trey White we saw prior injury last year, even when he came back. I still think he was probably playing it a little safe. Like he tried, but I think he was, I went back to work today to the place that I got injured at 4 months ago. And today was my day that I got injured 4 months ago. It was my Wednesday route. And I had that little nervousness inside as I was going up there. And it's just like that fear of like re-injuring yourself. And I think players who injure themselves when they come back, they're going to experience the fear of like knowing, hey, if I did this, I pushed off this leg and that's how it happened. And it just gives you that little bit of probably lost confidence to do the things you could do before. And that's probably, I think Trey White's going to be past that this year, but I still think we saw some of that in the end of the year last year, and that you need your number one corner to be locked in 100%. And I just don't think he was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but he did what he needed to do. I think the important thing is just taking care of your body so that you are going to be eventually 100%. And to me, I'm gonna quote Pat McAfee. Trey White, he's a champion, and the Bills, we want to be champions this year.
Gotta love good old Pat McAfee, man. He's become one of my favorite shows to watch in all sports right now. He's excellent.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like that he's on ESPN, but to tell you the truth, I like it actually.
Yeah, I'll take any Pat McAfee I can get in the talking, just listening to him. I just like his the way he does things.
Yeah, with the way
he's active and he moves his hands a lot and he keeps paying attention.
Sure does.
With the way ESPN was going and everything, like laying everybody off, I think now they can live with just Pat McAfee, Stephen A. Smith, and all their regular shows and just have live sports. A lot of people are saying that ESPN's ceasing to exist. What they mean is they're ceasing to exist in its old format, and they're really going to stay with what they have now, and I think they can make it work on cable TV with just McAfee, really.
Now, is early training camp interceptions a big thing to talk about? Apparently, it's number 4 on the Bills' list today of 10 things in camp. Christian Benfold picked off Joshua Allen today. And that was number 4.
I think it's important because with the new scheme, and Joe and I talked about this yesterday. McDermott obviously wants to be aggressive, but he wants to be consistently aggressive, and that was something we didn't always see with Leslie Frazier. I mean, when he would be aggressive in the regular season with his blitzes and everything, but as you saw when he got into the playoffs, he tended to be a little more conservative. But like I said, with a more aggressive scheme creates more turnover. So yeah, that's why I think it's important to see more picks on day one in camp with this type of defense that they're going to be running this year now.
That's what I was going there next. Middle linebacker McDermott came across and said, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but he did come across and say the middle linebacker can have the option to call the plays instead of me calling them. What do you guys think of that? When we don't even know who the middle linebacker is going to be right now, because that is a battle of camp.
Yeah,
it's a little premature, I think, and we'll see what happens with that. But I don't know. I don't know if it's time for that yet. Maybe later in the season as things go on and the routine is down. But if you're a coach, though, you got to trust your players, though, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe that's a sign of trust. I don't know. I think it just set the procedures, set everything up, and then let guys call things on the field later on, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing McDermott's always had, even going back to Carolina, everybody knows story of Luke Kuechly. That was his linebacker that called the plays for him. Then he had Tremaine Edmonds calling the plays for him. But the one thing that he's starting to do now is follow the trends of a lot of teams in the NFL now. It's about getting those smaller but faster linebackers that have like defensive back speed, so they're able to, like I said, blitz the quarterbacks better and be able to pick off balls in coverage like defensive backs. So as you can see, the Cardinals are going to do that with Jonathan Gannon. They have a lot of linebackers that aren't the biggest, but they're super, super fast, and that's what we have this year too. Like, they're not proven linebackers, but they're great scheme fits for what McDermott wants to do. And then, like I said, we're going to need those small, fast linebackers when we play Cincinnati and Kansas City again to be able to get after Mahomes and Burrow and maybe be able to be an extra cover blanket for Travis Kelce too and stuff like that, and Jamar Chase and other guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the linebacker, obviously Milano is a solid outside linebacker, but having a linebacker that's got the speed to cover Kelce, or even the whereabouts to know that Kelsey's going to find the opening and just trying to be able to get there and not get him an extra 10, 15 yards after the catch every time. I feel like that's what I just rewatched the Bills Chiefs game on NFL Game Pass. The one where Allen did the first hurdle. I think that's where it was the first hurdle against the Chiefs in the rain. We had that delay. It was like 2 years ago. And Kelce, there was times where he just got he just goes and finds that open spot, gets the ball, and he can get another 10, 15 yards. And it's like, come on, he's not that fast. Like he's fast, but he's not like blazing speed. He's just able to get that opening and then turn it upfield. And if you can get a fast enough linebacker to get there and at least stop the extra yardage after, that'll help. But based on what you were saying about the picks in practice today, I think you can look at it as both sides of the ball are going to look at it. Well, maybe not. I mean, it's a half full kind of thing, right? The defense is going to look at it and say, hey, we have one of the best quarterbacks we're playing against, and we just picked him off. We have a good defense, and the offense can look at it and say, hey, we know that if we turn the ball over, we have a really good defense back there that can get us the ball back. So I think, you can look at it both ways in positive for the offense and the defense. And the Bills are practicing against the offense is practicing against a really good defense every day. So it gives them when they get out on the field, they're, probably not playing that high level of a defense 80% of the time. There's some good defenses out there. The Jets have a really good defense. Dolphins are okay. The Chiefs defense will be interesting to see. The Bengals, I think, are probably going to go downhill, losing their 2 safeties. But the offense is playing a really good defense in practice every day. And I think that only makes them better. They're going to have their turnovers because Allen had one of the highest turnover percentages last year, but still was one of the top performing quarterbacks. So it's just you got to look at those interceptions as positives, I think, and say that's a good thing for a young cornerback to pick off Allen and take it for what it's worth, I think.
Is Ken Dorsey going to be the answer for the coordinator?
I personally think so. He's, like I said, last year it was his first year, getting to reunite with McDermott. And like I said, I don't think they really had all the pieces to what they really wanted to do. I mean, they obviously had the guys who they had from Dable and everything, but that was really more, I think, like it was all like, it was more like Dable's scheme a little bit. But now that they address the tight end and he's in his second year and they addressed more on offense, and he's actually in his second year reuniting with a guy that he knows well in McDermott. And like I said, he's just part of the Buffalo Bills / Carolina Bills, the many new assistant coaches that McDermott brought over from Carolina. So I think he is going to be the answer this year, because you're going to see a more not as one-dimensional offense of what he really wants to do with his scheme. Last year was just getting to know the players, evaluating, and just reuniting with McDermott and working with what he had. And he did a good job considering they were one-dimensional. But this year it's really his offense to do well. The ball's in his court with his offense.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, you got a guy that knows the system, and I think knows the system well. And there were a bunch of things that went wrong last year, but there was still a lot that went right. And again, I think, given another year of experience, given the better weapons, I think you'll see that he's a good fit for this offense.
Yep. And I was just going to say last year, like you guys said, he went 13-3 as a first-year coordinator. And I think their 3 losses were combined 8 points. So they were still number 2 in scoring last year. So it's a good offense. But I think that with their main focus being, quietly the offensive line this offseason, with making some additions there, it's really going to open up the run game for them and make them multidimensional, which is going to make for a really hard team to stop on defense. And I think, like you said, Joe, that Ken Dorsey has the tools. He's got the traits. He's got the know-how, and he's also been there, as a quarterback. We was from Miami, right? Great quarterback in college. He has the know-how to win, and and I think Diggs said today in his press conference that he loved when Dorsey flipped out in the studio or in the broadcast thing or wherever in his booth last year after that loss to Miami. So he loved that fire. He says he hopes he does it again this year. So I think players kind of like that. Obviously the PR for the Bills probably didn't love that too much. But it was still, I think Dorsey's got, and I think he's also got something to prove this year, because there's probably some doubters out there, plenty, that he might be hearing. And I think when you make them multidimensional, this Bills offense could be very, very dangerous.
And if it is, he'll definitely get a lot of he'll definitely get more than one interview for a head coaching job this year. And ironically, that one interview last year was with the team he was originally with, Carolina. Ended up not getting the job, but I think it's funny how things worked like that. But hey, this year he's definitely going to get a lot more opportunities if the offense really picks up. And I think the same thing for Eric Washington, who is going to be the new defensive line coach, and I think he's also going to be a
He's the assistant. He's the assistant coach right now.
Yeah, he is. He's the assistant coach and the D line coach, and I think he's gonna actually be like a co-defensive coordinator with McDermott, and maybe get it and maybe give his input on what he should run. And like I said, he's another guy that if the defense goes well this year, you could see him getting a bunch of head coaching offers too, I think.
Well, hopefully not. Like continuity in the coaching staff for a little longer than 2 years, but yeah, hopefully. I mean, obviously you want the best for them, but you want to keep your team together as much as you can if it's clicking well, right?
Hey, but guess what? You anybody you hire from the Bills now for another team, you're gonna get you're gonna have you're gonna start building your team the McDermott way, which is good. Any of those assistants, which is a good thing for that team who pulls any of our assistants now. So
Very true.
How big of a loss is Hines from wrecking on a jet ski, or whatever he did on the jet ski? I know they brought in, was it Darrington Evans?
Darrington Evans, yeah, I talked about him.
He's 25 years old, 16 carries and 61 yards in 2 years. That's not real promising.
Also, the teams he was on too, and those teams he was on weren't very good. But Nyheim Hines, when we got him from the Colts, he didn't really do that much either. But he was able to come and get a running back role, and also have the versatility to return kicks. That's what this guy is too. He's basically he's a bigger carbon copy of Nyheim Hines. He's taller and he's about 7 pounds heavier, but he's got the versatility of possibly being able to be a third running back for our scheme and also return kicks. So it's a wash. Hopefully it's a wash signing, I think, to replace Hines. But as I said yesterday, we all of us Bills fans and everybody at Defiant Takes wish Nyheim Hines and a speedy and healthy recovery, and we're all praying for you, man. And like I said, God's got your back on this one. You're a good dude, and eventually good things happen to good people, and I think it's going to happen to you, buddy. Just please get better. We're praying for it, all of us here.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
You hate to see something like that happen, but it's not like he's irreplaceable. And again, like Jamie said, we talked about it last night. You got a guy basically who's a carbon copy, maybe even a bigger version and more powerful version. So I guess we'll see about that. But again, you hate to see somebody, again, pretty valuable player go down like that, but again, not irreplaceable.
I think the thing that hurts the most as Bills fans is you immediately think of his last regular season game last year.
Right.
And you think of the 2 touchdowns he got on kick returns that really were the difference maker in that game. Because I think the Bills won by 1 or 2 scores in that game. So, it does hurt to see, because you never want to see a player go down, especially in just like a freak accident like that.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. You wish him all the best, like Jamie said. You want him to get well, and but the Bills have to keep moving forward. I'm not 100% certain they'll keep Evans. They might, because they have Latavius Murray too. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins that running back battle. But the more you have in camp, the better the battle's going to be. And
like I said, the reason why they want to keep Evans is because McDermott likes his special teams, and he wants that guy who's versatile enough to play running back and be another Nyheim Hines and return all the kicks, because everybody in this era is afraid to return them now, except a select few like Nyheim Hines and Kevontae Turpin and everything. And this guy won't actually be afraid to return them either, because he's actually returned them on the other teams he's been to.
He played for the Titans, right? I believe previously.
Was drafted by the Titans in 2020, got waived, and last year was with the Bears.
Right.
Which he should have played last year with their guy going down too. I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, there's always these
Lil Harvard. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of his name. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, no, there's always these camp guys who shine too, right? I feel like every year there's guys at camp who just like, or even in the preseason games that just shine, and you're like, oh man, but we don't see them every day at practice and know what they're going in. And the same thing with Evans on his previous team. Like, what was happening at practice? Why didn't he get more playing time if he is this versatile, powerful, fast back that we're talking about? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm at this point in my life where I don't question what Brandon Beane does anymore. At the beginning, when he says trust the process, you're like, all right, man, I'm trying. But now it's just, whatever he does, it's like, or whatever moves they make with the roster, or you just gotta feel they're the best for the team. And if Evans makes it and Latavius Murray gets cut, or you just gotta feel that they liked what they saw the best. But I do feel every year we have these training camp / preseason shines that you're just like, why did they get cut? Like, it's always a mystery to me. So
I guess that's another mystery now too, with the no cut date until after the last game.
Mm-hmm.
Do they keep it at 90 until the last preseason game?
Yeah, this year they are.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Boy, guess what the beauty about
well, that's gonna make sneaky signings and practice squad just a mess.
No, but Adam, guess what? Guess what it also could mean?
What?
More content for us next year for spring football, because like I said, that's what's great about we could be talking about some of these guys in starting in spring football and then potentially getting a better opportunity in the NFL next time. And that's what's great about these 6th and 7th round picks or 5th round picks now, if they get caught, or these undrafted free agents, if they don't make it, they can go to the spring league and start to get a better opportunity next year in the NFL, instead of like getting caught and then be going to another team and being third string and bounce around, getting caught, bounce around, getting caught. But
Steve, do you watch any spring ball?
No, I don't. Like I think we were talking pre-show with I'm into NHL too. Obviously, my Sabres have not been in the playoffs for almost as long a drought as the Bills were out of the playoffs. It's getting close, and it's pretty.
They will this year,
but I think they're a good enough team that coming up. So I like off-season hockey. I don't watch much NBA. I'm more just NHL and football. But the NFL is really my main draw, as you can see in my basement. It's my main focus, and there's nothing like the start of the NFL season. And other football, I've tried like XFL and USFL, and I've tried watching, and I turn it on and I'm like, all right, it's football. I'm going to watch it. And like by the, halfway through the first quarter, I'm like this on my phone, just kind of looking at other stuff. And I can't get into it much as I try.
Because you don't know the guys. Like every once in a while you hear like a name you heard.
It's not even that. I think it's the same reason I'm not connected to a team in baseball, because I don't have a team I follow. Like I feel like if I got into the USL, I would just have USFL or XFL. I would just have to pick a team and root for them. Like I'd be like, okay, I got to pick this team because they're closest to where I live, and I got to root for them. But
You sound like me for basketball. Like
you could do that in the USFL. Steve, I do that. I'm a Maulers guy because it's Pittsburgh and Buffalo doesn't have a team, and Adam can attest to that. I joined the Maulers train, baby, for the XFL.
I think the reason I don't, first of all, is I'm a Bills fan and a Sabres fan. The more teams you have in your life, the more disappointment you're setting yourself up for too. So like I am, the Bills and Sabres are plenty of excitement for me, but also enough disappointment that I don't really want to add any more to my life. And I also
changing that. I think, like I said, ball games are changing. The city's been on the rise the last 10 years. We've gone through some adversity, but hey, the downtown area's better now. There's a lot more to do in the downtown area. And like I said, the KeyBank Center is renovated. We're going to get that beautiful $1 billion stadium in 3 years, and a lot of good things happening there too that we didn't think during the drought were ever going to be possible. And the Pagulas made those dreams come true. So then if we cap it off with a Stanley Cup and a Super Bowl and build dynasties with that,
I don't know if the city of Buffalo
that's
will
the
be able
cherry
to
on top.
stand it.
That's the cherry on top to all of that, Steve. It is.
Yeah, no, it is. It definitely is. And I think part of the excitement of being a Bills fan and a Sabres fan is we all believe we're going to see the first one. There's plenty of people who I've known that are no longer with us that thought they were going to see the first one and they didn't. So, it's actually still kind of an exciting thing. Obviously we want to see it and get that monkey off our back, but it's kind of a fun monkey to have on your back because you feel like you're going to see it.
Ownership group too, Steve. They didn't get to see they didn't have the Pagulas. That's why.
Yeah. Well, it should have stayed alive longer, I guess. Maybe they'll get to see them.
When it's your time, it's your time.
Yep.
So we were just talking about spring ball, and you guys signed Jace Stornberger from the Birmingham Stallions, who's just got off of the championship game. He is a big boy.
6'4", 251 pounds, and he can catch the ball too. He kind of reminds me. I'm gonna use the term Walmart brand and carbon copy, but I think he could be a Walmart version of Gronk if we use him right, because he's big and can run receiver routes and catch the ball. I think he could be our Gronk, that carbon copy, that cheaper version of Gronk if he develops right.
And he's used to a quarterback that can run around like Alex McGough, who he had in Birmingham. So he should fit in well with Josh Allen. That's my
point exactly.
Steve, you might want to go back and watch some USFL Birmingham Stallions and see what you see.
I guess so. I got some homework to do. It sounds
don't study him in the NFL.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes in the USFL. He was like that, Alex McGough.
Well, it's definitely going to be a battle, but they're saying that Kincaid is turning out to be like they're thinking he's going to be a
Gronk.
Big addition to like this year, like make an impact this year, a big one. So,
he's smaller than Gronk. I think he's more of a Travis Kelce or I think he's with his speed. I think he's actually more of almost a clone of Kyle Pitts still. Because he's abnormally fast for a tight end, and he actually said he never ran the 40 time, but he said he thinks he could run it in the 4.5s, which for a tight end is incredible.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what they can do at the tight end position, but it's any weapons. I am going to go back and watch some of his highlights on YouTube or something, see if I can find some. They have that other tight end on IR right now too. Davidson, I think.
Yeah,
he's like 6'7".
He's huge.
Zach Davidson. I don't know how good. I mean, if he's going to even play a down for the team, because they're so deep at tight end right now.
I know nothing about him. So
yeah, me neither. I just saw him in the roster, and I'm like 6'7". That's a big boy. That's a good sized tight end. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think the tight ends people are looking at now more are similar to like Knox and Kincaid and Kelce, that are a little shorter, but they have the speed and the route running capability.
Or Kyle Pitts too.
Yeah, exactly. Like the speed and the route running. And that's, Kyle Pitts.
Like a receiver, basically.
Just got to get the touchdowns for Kyle Pitts. That's all. No offense, but he's just,
Well, I have him on my fantasy team, so I'm hoping you're right, Steve.
Kyle Pitts' situation, that was more due to the inconsistency of at quarterback, having Mariota and Desmond Ridder both throwing him the ball. But like I said, the first year he had Matt Ryan, which played all year. Like he had a consistent quarterback. Last year they were trying to see who was going to be the starter. But like I said, this year he's going to have hopefully, like I said, a full year with Desmond Ridder to get back to year one of Kyle Pitts.
Need Kyle Pitt not to be injured either.
Yeah, and you said that thing about the 90, cutting down after the last game. I was thinking too, like one of the other effects that might have is, I'm in a dynasty fantasy league.
So I'm in two of them with you. I'm right there with you, Steve. It's like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen here?
Like you're going to go ahead and draft some, but like unless you wait, I mean, we're drafting on Labor Day, so September.
We
3rd.
we did an auction draft, online auction draft, and it was nuts. Like we got it done, but it was like an 8 hour. It was like Monday through Friday, and then Saturday it was all 8 hours. It ran 24 hours. So like if there was a guy you wanted, you had to set your alarm clock for 2:30 if it was done at 2:50, so you could be up just to like try and wake up and hear it, and then try and bid on your dude, and then go back to bed.
Wow. Yeah, I'm only in one this year. I was in a bunch last year, and it became too much, So I'm in one, and we have a dynasty league where we keep 12 players, and I drafted Josh Allen as a rookie, Justin Jefferson as a rookie, Jamar Chase as a rookie, and
you're off to a great start.
It's fantastic. And my running backs are Saquon. And, this year I'm kind of hoping Kincaid falls to me at 10 because I won the championship last year. So,
oh, you didn't do your rookie draft yet?
No, we're doing that September 3rd. So that's what I was thinking about the 90, with them cutting down. Like if we did our draft any earlier, it would, we'd be up a creek with some of these players that were like drafted and getting all excited. Like, Not saying Latavius Murray makes a difference, but you draft him and then they cut him because they're going to keep Evans, So it's just the 90 cut down late makes a huge difference, I think, for fantasy implications for big leagues that have like deep rosters and stuff. So,
Melissa chiming in. How are you, Melissa? Bill Show, Niners girl.
We love the Bills.
I'm all about the Bills.
So if one Allen gets hurt and we have to rely on this second Allen to come in, how much trouble are we in?
Steve is signing off. Have a good night, boys. Just kidding. That's about how much trouble we're in. That's my opinion. Is I'm signing off for the season if Allen goes down. I don't know.
Yeah, the Super Bowl chances will be out the window.
The Vegas, huh? That kills my show, huh? The road to Vegas for the Bills. If Allen goes down, it's over.
It's done. Playoffs maybe, but obviously, he can't get injured. Josh Allen can't get injured. Nothing against the other Allen, but yeah, again, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you're going to win it with Josh Allen.
Yeah, if you have Kyle Allen in there, you might have a similar exit that the Dolphins had from the playoffs last year. Was it Skylar Thompson came in?
Mm-hmm.
Did okay.
I like Skylar Thompson.
You what?
Obviously, Melissa's late to the program, but she wanted to know what you guys.
I think he's actually better than Tua. I would advocate. I think Skylar Thompson could actually end up being the starter if something happens to Tua, because Tua's concussions, man. I mean, those things take a hit on you. They do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To answer Melissa, I personally think that the drama is over, but there's a lot of stuff that comes to fruition before the season starts, and then you think it's over with, and then the season starts, and then the drama returns or rears its ugly head. So it is hard to say if it's definitely over, but it's based on all the stuff Diggs said. I saw his whole thing. I think it's 100% over. I don't personally think there was anything but speculation to make it begin. I think McDermott might have used some wrong words. Like he said, he's very concerned after Diggs didn't show up for his day one. And that, I think that is the reason this whole thing went out of proportion. But I think it's over, and I don't honestly think there was much to begin with. But like I said before, that's just, I think, how Diggs is. He just I think he enjoys off-season drama.
I think it's the worst of it is over. But I mean, the first game, there's going to be a big game in mid-season where the Bills are losing and he's not getting the ball. Mm-hmm. And he's going to start pouting. That's going to happen. But I don't think it's going to get to the point where it was, to be honest with you. I agree with what he said, or I believe what he said, mm-hmm. As far as wanting to stay here and win here. And again, as we said in the beginning of the broadcast, that's what we want to hear. We want people coming in here saying, hey, we want to win championships with this particular team. So
Want to be
again,
champions.
we haven't seen the last of his pouting and antics, but I think we've hopefully seen the last of this build-up drama that we've had in the beginning here.
Melissa is on fire with questions right now. Are you guys doing tight end sets with Dawson Knox and the rookie tight end Kincaid?
I think we're gonna do that. I think we'll do some twin tight end sets to help the running game. I think we'll. But like I said, I think we're gonna primarily still run things from the shotgun, as pretty much every team does now in any league now. College, that's all spread, no huddle, basically. The NFL is mostly spread, shotgun as primary offenses, and spring football is the same way too. But yeah, we will be able to do some running games in. But like I said, Kenny Dorsey, they like, this is a cliche, but the Bills believe that, like I said, with Dorsey and McDermott, with the scheme, this is what they can do schematically. They can say, okay, who are our best 11 football players and how are we going to use them on the field and put them in positions to win. That's what it's going to be.
I think what's going to happen with Kincaid and Knox is I think there's going to be a lot of play call changes at the line based on what Allen sees, and I think that's going to help him because they're, having Kincaid out there instead of, say, Cole Beasley, right? You have Kincaid in the slot and Knox blocking or whatever they decide to do, and Allen sees maybe, okay, there's 3 linebackers out here. We're going to keep it as a pass play because they can't keep up with Kincaid. Or he sees a nickel and he says, we're going to bring this in and make it a run play because now they have a nickel corner out here. I think there's going to be a lot of changes, but it also opens up the playbook vastly with him in there. And Melissa, we are right with you on that.
It's Monday Night Football. Listen, that's Sunday night.
It's on 9/11, so that's going to be, and not that I'm saying that's the reason we need to embarrass them, but like the Jets there's been a lot of talk this season.
Melissa. Yeah, you're right. This Sunday is
Cowboys and Giants, I think. Yeah. But I have a different point of view on Kyle Allen. He's a guy that a lot of people forget. Another guy that, again, was with Carolina, who was his offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. What did he do when Cam Newton got hurt? Started the rest of the year, actually went 7-12. So I think with the talent that we have, he's a good game managing backup. I think he could be a Frank Reich type to Josh Allen, a guy that still knows the offense and can get it done. When Jim Kelly got hurt, I mean, we didn't think Frank Reich was going to be able to do what he did, and hey, he still led us to the Super Bowl too. So
that's true. Hopefully, we never find out the answer to that question, but I guess we'll see.
It's not a bad problem to have. I mean, he and like I said, we're not as in much trouble this year as we were last year with Case Keenum, because Case Keenum was more of a pocket passer, so you had to change the offense completely around him. He wasn't a mobile guy like Allen. But like even in 2021, we had Mitch Trubisky as a backup. That was a year where I don't think we would have dropped off too much because Trubisky was an RPO guy who played with the Bears and he knew the system too, like Allen with Dable. So yeah, I think we're not going to be as in much trouble because Kyle Allen, he is a dual threat. He can run and everything. He can escape the pocket and take off. Not to the ability of Josh Allen, but at least he could do it. Unlike Keenum.
Right.
So, if they make it to Vegas, is anyone going to go in this panel?
Oh
No.
man, I would if they offered me a free tickets and a shot to like go there via this network, I would go. I would do it, but only with obviously free tickets. And they find out I do this podcast, so yeah, that's the only way I would go, and I'd bring the fam too.
Yeah,
I would
I
only
think I'd be on the same page there. Sorry, Joe.
I'm bad at cutting you off here. Sorry,
No, you're
Steve.
good.
Go ahead.
You're good. No, I was just gonna say I think I'm on that boat too, Jamie. That's the only way I would go is if it was paid for by this podcast. I mean, anyone else than me. 'Cause
Hey, it was like we got invited to the USFL championship game, or we all went because we cover the USFL and everything. So hey, if this grows, who knows? Maybe they like the Bills or the NFL does recognize us. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a guy that we follow on I follow on Twitter. I don't know if you guys do. His name's Glenn Goodberry, and then his brother's Joe Goodberry. Goodberry variant I think is there. And Joe is a Bengals fan, and he got into podcasting and whatever. And now the Bengals fly him out they flew him out for the draft. They do all these things, and it's all started because he was doing this podcast thing, and it gave me more hope for my dream of being on a podcast more and, talking more about stuff. And I mean, any chance you get to talk about the Bills, I always wonder why sports
This is the future of sports media and media now in general. It's
right now with the ESPN
podcast, you can get recognized for them.
Yeah. But I would love to go to the Super Bowl, but at full price of a ticket and probably hotels and planes. If the Bills are in there, I can't even imagine how much money I'd have to come up and a single income with two kids. So that's
you're looking at $10,000 easily.
Easily. Yeah. I mean, I'd
easily,
probably
not even
but
that might not even do food.
I'd have to go dollar menu at that point. I don't know.
I don't even, they have I thought they have a regular Subway in what's the Irish casino out there. But there's a Subway buried in the very back of it, and it's regular priced.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, so I would likely be watching the Super Bowl with a bunch of friends and having a big party to watch it around here. I think personally for me that would be. I mean, going there would be great, but I mean, knowing if I spent $10,000 to go to a game, that would be the whole time. Like that would be. Like they better freaking win this game if I spend $10,000 to go to it.
They could offer you, Steve. You're verified and you got all these followers and you got this car and everything. Just wishful thinking, my guy. Wishful thinking.
Hey, I'll take just being in the Bills parade with that car. That's all I care about. That'd be Super Bowl parade through Buffalo with that car. I'm good.
I would definitely do that if they win it. I would do the parade at the airport. I would go down to the airport to greet the team back.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I don't think I'd sleep for a week if the Bills win a Super Bowl. So
I wouldn't either.
I would
want to sleep eventually. You do sleep eventually, guys. Just to let you know.
I would want to be in town if they won it. I mean, again, to get an opportunity to go to a game like that, if I had the funds to do it, of course, it would be amazing. But I would want to be here. And the celebrations would start the second that game's over. I would want to be here to be a part of it.
I was driving around after the Bills beat Baltimore in the second round of the playoffs. So they beat, was it the first round was
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
That was Phillip Rivers' last game in the NFL.
And then they beat the Ravens, and I was driving my car around just in Amherst, just up and down the boulevard, honking at people. It's like midnight, and I'm just being a complete idiot because I was like beyond excited. I'm like, we're going to the AFC Championship, and we know how that turned out. But that level of excitement, I can't even imagine the Bills winning a Super Bowl. Like, I know I will sleep eventually, but I have a lot of trouble sleeping after a Sunday night win in the regular season if it's a good team we're playing. So it's a curse. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess.
It's good to hear these stories. I live in a rich neighborhood from what we're going with here. I got 6 of them on my side.
Yeah.
I'm 40 minutes out of Pittsburgh, Steve.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. I grew up in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
Yeah. And we have 5 Stanley Cups, so it's like, huh?
You could tell you're talking to Buffalo people here because it's a totally.
I love
different
the excitement though. I love it because we don't have that here. Like we expect it. You guys get excited to be there. We expect it.
But I think we're at the point now we got the ownership group where, like I said, Pittsburgh and Buffalo could finally be a nice conference rival again. A conference rival. I think with Kenny Pickett and versus Josh Allen. I mean, that was the game I actually went to last year. Where I got to see Kenny Pickett make his first start with Pittsburgh. Adam, told you I
Melissa
went
wants
to
to
that
know
game.
if any of you have showed up for the Mafia meetings whenever they arrive back home.
I haven't.
Steve?
Yep, I have. Oh, I have. I've only done one of them, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was, I think it was actually after a loss. I think it was after the 13 seconds loss. Yeah, that was it. Because, and I think that's when the Bills players needed the fans the most, right? It's easy to be a player when you're up and you're winning, but when you come back after a loss, that's the hardest thing to do, right? And especially that kind of loss. We feel it, they're feeling it times 10, and they come back and they're just defeated. They feel like they let a whole city down. And then, for us to be able to welcome them back and say, you're still our team, we're not letting you guys go from us. And I think that was just, you could see it was almost like a relief on their face. Like, okay, good. Like, I think it was back in the day when Scott Norwood came out after missing that kick and the fans cheered for him because he knew, and he
had a rally for him.
Yeah, and he lost it emotionally because it was just like he felt like the weight of the entire city of Buffalo was on his shoulders and he let them down. And we understand, I think, in Buffalo especially, that these players are still human, and they're doing their best to bring a championship home to us. And there's 32 teams and only one of them is going to win it. And there's a lot of good teams out there. So you got to just support your team. And I think it was that guy who was on Seinfeld, the one guy who painted his face for the New Jersey Devils. He kept saying, she's like, why do you paint your face? He's like, you support the team. It's it. You just got to support your team up, down. You got to be with them through the thick and the thin. And that's one thing I think Bills fans are famous for, is even in the 6 and 10 seasons, which was pretty much every year during the early 2000s, we still sold out a lot of games. And, Bills fans are very loyal. And I think it's something that we need the payoff. We're still going to be loyal, but we need the payoff. We're so overdue for that, I think. And I'm so ready for it.
I tell friends here in Buffalo, I wish you could know what it's like to have your team win. Again, I'm from Long Island, Mets fan, Islanders fan. Islanders won 4 cups. That was about 1,000 years ago, but I know what it's like to have my teams win. Mets, same thing. Mets was a billion years ago, but
we had Howard Johnson on, Joe.
That's right.
Talk to Howard Johnson.
That was amazing. And again, I know what it's like to have my teams win. It's been a long time for all my, teams. And again, I've kind of converted it, to a Bills fan. I grew up as a Giants fan. So even a Super Bowl championship, I know what it's like to have that. And I just so wish people around where I live here in Buffalo and friends and family could just experience that as well and find out what it's like, both, Bills and Sabres.
Yeah.
As I said, we finally have the ownership group for both teams to be able to continue to do it too. It's not gonna be like previous years where after the 4 Super Bowls, things went down. Yeah, we're gonna keep going, and we're gonna be in the playoffs every year for the Sabres and the Bills, as long as, like I said, we keep the coaching staff intact for both teams, and the GMs keep making their smart salary cap moves with their 1-year deals and their low cost signings, and getting rid of potentially dead second contracts that we don't need, to save salary cap money. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
On rookie deals and things like that. So
So, are you going to explain, or are you just going to?
It's 1-1. Amy Horan just scored. Sorry.
All right. Hey,
Joe, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just.
The Netherlands are just outplaying us to death, and we just tied it. So that's
They're still going to win this game. U.S.
But Amy Horan was ready to get into a fight like 2 minutes ago. You'll have fun watching that.
Okay.
But we tied it. It's 1-1. So anyway, sorry. This is the only soccer I get into is the World Cup. It's the only soccer I get into.
You might want to get into the men's now, because the men's last year actually had a good run, and they did it with a younger and quicker team. And I think that trend's going to continue when we host it in 2026. I think the men finally have the right formula to contend now. And just what do? You use the World Cup to groom your young guys.
But the World Cup has never groomed anything. Nothing has come out of it's grown, but there's no real homegrown talent. Not that we're going to turn this into a soccer debate, but
right. Hey, we're still talking football, right?
Right.
But like I said, we had a lot of good young talent on that U.S.
We had
men's
Landon
team.
Donovan. We had the Hams. We had.
I'm talking about the guys, Adam. You're talking about women. I said the guys.
Right, Landon Donovan.
Right, but I'm saying we were the third youngest team in the league last year. Our team was really young last year throughout and through, and we used it as a way to groom our young talent to hopefully be able to win in 2026, because we know the formula now, and that's get younger and faster players for our team.
But hey, what are your final thoughts on the Bills for this year, guys? Real quick, and then this will be the end, because I know Steve has to be up at 4:45, getting up that early in the morning. Steve, it's got to be a pain in the ass.
I'm still just getting used to it. That's the problem. Is after a month or so getting back to work, I'll be used to it again, but I'm not used to it yet. So, because I was off for 4 months and I was waking up at 8, 9 some mornings. So,
right, kids come crawling in, wake you up.
Yeah. So now I'm hurting, and I'm just today was a long one, and I was sweating it out all day. So everything just kind of is weighing down. I'm just tired. But it's my thoughts for this year. I'm always going to be the optimistic side. I went to get pizza the other night, and I got kind of ticked off at the pizza guy, because I walk in to pick up my pizza, and I go there every Tuesday. He's a good dude, and I walk in, and he's like, "Steve, man, Bills suck." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, I'm sick of it. And I'm like, okay, well, keep it to yourself, dude. Like, not all of us are sick of it, I still love it. And it was just one of those things that I was kind of put off by even going there anymore I don't want to go there to talk negatively. And I have the Bills car, and I tell people all the time, some people come up to me and they're like, dude, the Bills really are struggling and they're not getting that Super Bowl. I'm like, okay, so you see my level of support for the Bills with my car. I'm always wearing Bills stuff. You see that level.
Your background is amazing.
And
it reminds me of Mark.
Steve, it's funny how that guy would say that. This makes me mad too, and other people say it. Like, he's saying he's sick of it, but it's like, how can you be sick of it now when they're actually good, like compared to what they were before, and they're contenders now every year, basically.
Yeah, I just don't want negative talk about it. And I just don't that's not what I'm about. You got to be. I called into the WGR one time, and I said, people are, sitting there like, I'm not enjoying any of this season because it's Super Bowl or bust. I'm like, I still enjoy every single win we get all season long. You have to, because if you don't, you set yourself up for 99% chance you're going to be disappointed. So you just have to enjoy the wins. You have to enjoy the ups and move on from the downs. Last year, after one of the games ended, I think it was when the Bills lost to the Jets, when Allen hurt his elbow, and, we lost that very frustrating game to the Jets. My daughter came up to me after, and she said something along the lines of, well, I'm still happy. And she said, you still have me. And it was just like a reopen it, like, okay, yeah, we moved on.
Yeah.
We moved on from the loss, and then after the wins, I'm happy. But you also, you get ready for the next week. And the negative talk, I don't got room for it in my life. I'm My life is full. They scored again.
No, we did score, but it was offsides.
Oh, that's a wow. It's like
Well,
winning the Super
you know,
Bowl.
like a lot of Pittsburghers are getting tired of the 500, and that's winning football. It's not winning football.
Yeah, it's not.
Right. You know what? It's every game is an event. That's how I like to look at it, game by game, and if it moves on and takes off to something bigger and better, that's awesome. But I love watching football on Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays, whatever it is. And, that's what it's all
What do you
about.
guys think of the Black Friday games now?
For me, football on Friday, like NFL football on Friday, usually college football, that's a great idea. But if you want to talk about my opinion of what the Bills are going to do, Jamie said something before about maybe not winning the division, but still going far. I think this regular season is going to be more of a struggle than people think. I have a 10-7 record prediction. I think they'll be 10-7. Maybe that's good enough to win the division, maybe not. But I still think this is a good enough team to win to win the Super Bowl. Time will tell, and there's a lot of steps between now and then. But
February 11th,
10-7, which is not the end of the world. They're good enough to get in the playoffs, maybe as a 4 seed, 5, maybe 7. But we'll see. And I think
you got to remember our conference, Joe, is a gauntlet, the AFC. So that's
right.
That's why any of those teams in the AFC, like as I mentioned, 3 of those teams, the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chiefs, I think all could have beaten the Eagles, because the Eagles were just like, everybody was saying how great the Eagles were, but I knew once they got to the Super Bowl that like they didn't play the AFC yet, and like the NFC was basically weak. And once they ran into an AFC team, that's where I knew they were going to be in trouble.
Right.
And the NFC lost one of their greatest quarterbacks to the AFC, so that's true.
It's gonna be fun. I think the AFC North and the AFC East are gonna be the 2 funnest divisions to watch.
Who's that quarterback?
The Rodgers,
yeah.
Packers, yeah. So it's I think the AFC East could be a destroying season, or it could be like a very tough division to go through. But it also could be very similar to the AFC West last year, where we looked at it and we're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a daunting division. Everyone's going to beat up on the Chiefs. It'll be great. And the Chiefs still walk through that division with a steamroller. Right. So, it's hard to say until we see Aaron Rodgers play behind that New York Jets offensive line, which is not great.
No, how good they didn't even do much to improve it either.
No. So
and then all the Jets fans who complained about Zach Wilson are going to be the same people screaming for Zach Wilson back if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play well. That's the thing. Jets fans.
Hey, we're just like us, though. I say that about every fan base. We're all here to just support our teams, and we're all very similar. We're all passionate. We all feel like the world's against us in every aspect of things, and we just want to be, and we like to troll other teams especially during game week when we play them. But it's all, in my personal experience, it's all in good fun. I'm just out there to enjoy the camaraderie with other fans and banter a little bit, but still kind of keep it somewhat respectful. And I think it's a fun way to go about it. A lot of people love it with other teams. Yes. So
I wish I was like that, Steve, because I talk very positive about like everything here on the podcast and everything, but when they lose, like I just have a tendency to flip out and blame everybody else.
Well,
but
you could be like that.
I want to have your more of your positive, like consistently. I want to be more positive throughout the games, like you, not just positive here when it's all over. And I realize that next week's gonna be okay. So.
Yeah, no, it's a fun way to live, just living that positive life and just being positive to people. Plus, I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a 10-month-old. So they see how I am too, and I don't want to have part of their childhood be ruined because I'm angry about a loss,
Right.
So I get frustrated, when the Chiefs lost, beat the Bills with that 13 seconds game. I was at my friend's house. I just got up and left. I didn't say goodbye to anybody. I just left. I was just silent in my car. I didn't talk to anybody.
That is diehard fan right there. And you're
Yeah, I'm
and
good
you're-
in
and you're-
public. I in private. It's at home. It's bad.
And Steve, your friends understand that. You know, they understand that. They're like, yeah, he's pissed.
Yeah, and he called me the next day and he said, I get you. Like we both were the same. Like I just got in my car and I drove home. I didn't say anything. And it was just because like when they scored with 13 seconds left, I was in tears. I'm like, we're going to the friggin' Super Bowl. Like this is the best thing ever. Like we're going to easily roll through the Bengals next week, which obviously we have no clue if we would have, but we would have had a home field game against the Bengals. And then we're representing the Super Bowl. So I think we would have beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. So it's just one of those things that you're like, wow, we were that close to have it yanked away. But again, you move on from it. You know, you just look at, again, the perspective in life of like, I'm healthy. I got 2 wonderful kids that are happy, and you focus on the positives and you look forward, and you come back like an ex comes back to their significant other every time when the Bills come back to play. You're like, yeah, it's a new season. I don't care what you did to me last year.
And you look back and say, hey, we're look how far we've come as a franchise from the 17-year drought to say we're in this position every year to play for this game. And every year we've been building close to it, and hopefully it turns out. You got to look at it and say, look how far we've come from the 17-year drought to these close losses and to hopefully win the Super Bowl. And as I mentioned, the new stadium too across the street. So yeah.
And this will be the year Charlie Brown kicks the football, right?
100%.
Well, hey guys, are we done? We got anything else to wrap it up on?
I'm good. Again, it was an honor being on, guys. Thank you so much.
Steve,
I
for
love
coming
talking
on.
about
I
this,
thank
bro.
you, Joe and Jamie. Ready to get
Thank
your
you.
show.
Yeah, Steve.
back on track.
Steve, you coming on, everybody, and we'll Steve, we'll see you next week too for
On Tuesday.
we'll see you next Tuesday for our podcast episode at 8:00.
It's a little earlier. Fantastic. I like
A
that.
little earlier and shorter.
Awesome.
Hey, it's good. I mean, I'll still get a good 5 hours tonight. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, we are going to close this out with the Bills Mafia video because I like it, and it does
Like
say
it too.
Jamie Malloy is
We like it
hosting.
too.
And I'm passing the show back to you, Jim. But hey, wait, real quick before we go, Steve, how people get a hold of you?
So the main way to get a hold of me is on Twitter. I have a handle, Bills Car Guy. It's just Bills_car_guy. That's the main way I communicate with people on there. Fans of all teams. I'm always willing to talk with you, enjoy it. It's good to interact with many people on there, and it's all going to be positive for me. I'm never going to be a troll. I mean, I have fun with people, but it's usually just in GIF form. I'm never really a jerk to anybody. So.
I didn't see these comments.
Oh, I saw it.
I just thought, yeah.
Hey,
Rob is
I mean,
a great guy, man.
you got to support your team.
Him and Alex. You guys need to bring him on for these 2 games. You guys would have a blast.
Hey, I'm friends with a couple Bills fans or Dolphins fans on Twitter. One of my good friends from around here is actually a Dolphins fan, and I question why he's a Dolphins fan because he lives here and he's from here and he's born and raised here. But
Sometimes that Dan Marino guy brings you in and sucks you in.
you just got to support your team. That's it, man. Support your team. Support them to the death.
I'm jealous though. The Dolphins drafted Devin A-Chain in the 3rd round. I think that's going to be a steal for you guys this year as a rookie from Texas A&M.
We talked about the A-Chain the other night on the show.
Look at this guy, this Dolphins fan. The only reason I don't like him is he's keeping me up later. Just kidding.
Well, Rob, thanks for chiming in, man. Melissa, thanks for chiming in. Steve, thanks for stopping by. Joe and Jamie, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Nice
Don't
to meet
forget,
you guys.
don't forget to ask Joe, and that's where we can find us.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
I
trying to
forgot,
get my Twitter page going there, Joe Dell Sports. And then it's we'll chat there.
All right, Jamie.
And you saved the best for last, and I'm the host here.
Yeah,
the
me.
hostess with the most.
Yeah, me. I'm best
Ultimate
for last.
host, man. Chris Berman Jr. and everything like
I'm
that.
best for last, Jamie, just to let you know.
Anyway, let you guys can find me on both my Twitter accounts, Bills Chat 1 at Bills Mafia Chat, and also Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist at DJ Dog Tags, and DefiantTakesFootball.com, which is a football website that I write articles for freelance about the Buffalo Bills, Syracuse football, and spring football. And I'm also writing and getting paid for a website called fanbuzz.com where I write about Group of Five college football. So yeah, check those stories out too. And thank you guys for listening very much.
All right. I am at Sports Talking It. You can find me at there. That's my main account, Driving to the Top on Twitter. You can also find me there. I do follow everyone else's account. So if you need me, I do look on them accounts. And also Driving to the Top on YouTube. And we are out. Thank you guys for coming on again.
Thanks so much.
To rock this